Absolutely. Well, we're obviously excited about where we are from a program standpoint. We got an opportunity to play a conference game at home with a lot still on the line. Um, I was excited to get the win last week. Um, I think that's always a positive. But I think going into this week, I think our kids understand we got a great challenge in Presbyterian. It's a conference game. There's a lot on the line from a conference standpoint, but more than that, I think for us to go out and continue to work to play our best game in all three phases is a challenge for us. And obviously that starts in practice, but they're a good football team. Their record may not appear that way. They've been really good on defense, and they've relied on that a little bit similar to last year. Offensively, they struggle a little bit, but defensively, their front four is probably the strength of their defense. They do a nice job. They're sound in what they do, and they got a bunch of Georgia kids on their team. I'm sure they're going to be excited about coming to Kennesaw and playing. And so anytime, there's one thing we've learned from last year and one thing we've learned about being the Big South, I mean, you got to get ready to go every week. There can be no, because, I mean, you're playing, especially in our league, you got to get ready to go every week. As you guys can see, things happen. You don't ever know. So we got to continue to get ready to play our best game, but we're excited about the opportunity, excited about where we are. We want to continue to build and grow, and we want to finish this thing off on a good note. So at that point, I'll open up for questions. Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing is they're sound in what they do. The kids understand what they do. They have their reads and keys, and they're fundamentally sound, well coached. Like I said, their strength is probably up front of their defense. They lost some really, really good players a year ago, and they're still playing really well. They also safety and linebacker that were really, really good last year. So I think that's it. And last year, I mean, they held us to 6 points, 4 turnovers, and did a nice job of pretty much shutting us down. Everything we got, we had to really grind it out, and we weren't able to maintain anything to their credit. So I think that's going to be a big challenge for us. There's no question to be able to move the ball, move it consistently, especially based on last year, the way they played us. And one thing they do a good job playing defense there. That's one thing they've done a good job of. Well, like I said, they do a good job what they're doing. They got some upperclassmen playing up front, John. Their 2 inside guys, I think, are probably the best of their 4. They play a couple guys. Several of them played against us last year, but they're older. They understand what they're doing. They understand their scheme. They understand what we do and have a good idea of how to get themselves ready and prepared for that. And so I think that's a big part of it. And Coach Spangler, their defensive coordinator, does a good job. He was at Georgia Southern for a long time as a defensive coordinator. And so he does a nice job getting those guys prepared and being assignment and fundamentally sound regardless of scheme. Yeah, we got everybody should be back. Dustin Moore will probably not play. He got hurt Saturday. I think he's going to be okay, but I don't think he'll be able to play Saturday, which I hate that for him, being it's senior day, last home game for him, but he's not able to go right now. Outside of that, the guys that normally play, I'm hoping everybody will be available at some capacity as of right now. He just got his knee kind of hyperextended in the game Saturday, and it's almost more of a contusion extent, But I think he'll be fine. But I'm not sure, Brian. To be honest with you, he's gonna be okay. I mean, he's, probably by tomorrow he'd be able to maybe practice, but you got to practice a little more during the week to be able to go function in the game. So, but I think he'll be okay. But that happened in the game Saturday. He was beating a block and a guy just fell into it.
Who are these 12 seniors? Who are the guys that are the most pleasant surprises for you in the key roles they're playing, as opposed to maybe what your expectations for them were when you started everything?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Brian. I don't know that I'm going to call a name because all 12 of these guys in their very different roles. You know, you might have a guy like Chaston Bennett, who everybody knows about. Then you got a guy like Lee Comfort you may not hear as much about, but they all have brought tremendous value. They all have helped lay the foundation for this program. They got a chance to have a phenomenal 2-year record in this program, something that would be unreal when you step outside and look at it. And I truly believe if we can finish this thing right, them and everybody else, they can leave a legacy of something really special for Kennesaw State football. That I told one of them the other day, I said, man, if we can go finish this thing, you're going to be telling your kids about this one day. That's how special it'll be. You get to tell your kids and grandkids about this one day. So without really singling anybody out, I'm so proud of the whole group. And they all have different roles and values. I think that's what's neat about it. The ones you hear about more on Saturdays, but the ones that you may not hear about bring as much to the party as those guys you hear about on Saturdays. So I think it's the biggest group, obviously, we've had to date. Being our last year we had 4 kids, this year we got 12. So, and a lot of these kids came here from other programs, or maybe from a junior college, or maybe transferred in on the little bit of hope and faith, you know what I mean, on what this was going to be. And I give them a lot of credit for that, and they've made it, even to date, made it way more than probably they ever imagined coming in.
Chaston has been getting a lot of public, but it seems like in the game there's always that one or maybe 2 big plays that Darnell makes, where he extends the drive by getting 7 yards on a quick pass, or he gets around the corner for 12 yards here. What is it about that team instinct, or exactly how to put it, but just the fact about him being a gamer to kind of step into that role when it's always listed?
Yeah, I think the great thing about Darnell and Chaston both is that, I mean, they're both really, really good with the ball in their hands. And, and they're a little bit different how they do it. When there's nothing there, Darnell may, do a 3/4 spin and run through a guy and get you 2 yards when you needed a 1.5 yards, in a critical moment, when there's not a whole lot going on. But both of those guys, they're great with the ball in their hands, and that's what you see. But they love to go block for one another. They love to play without the ball. And I think that's really what's made them good, because when one of them is making a play with the ball, the other one's the one that got them there, and vice versa. And I think the way those guys approach everything is really what's truthfully given us a chance to really be successful. Because when guys are making plays, there's other guys usually that are helping that go along. And Darnell and Chaston both can do enough damage by themselves with the ball in their hand and making people miss, and running through people and making great catches and all that. And really both those guys are, when you look at the skill set for playing that position, they encompass all of it. And I think that's, for us, they've been huge, made a ton of plays for us, and we're going to need those guys on Saturday to block well and run well and do all the things for us to have success. But the great thing about it is it's not just with the ball in their hands. Go watch them without the ball. And I think Darnell will tell you he actually enjoys probably the blocking part as much as he takes so much pride in it. And I think that's really what makes us go, guys. That's the team and the unselfish nature of our kids. And I think that has a lot to do with our success. I really do. Yeah, I thought they were okay. I'll be honest with you, we weren't particularly sharp Saturday. I said it at halftime. We were able to score points and move the ball, but we weren't sharp, and we could have played with a little more effort, a little more intensity, and attention to detail that we're going to have, Matt, this week to have a chance to be successful. So, it wasn't that it was bad, but it wasn't up to our standard. I don't remember the exact numbers. I think we were probably in the 20s on both sides in efforts. We didn't play a lot of snaps. I think it was roughly around 60 on defense, maybe 65 on offense. Wasn't a ton of snaps, so really those numbers should be a little bit lower. So I mean, we play good enough to win and get it done, and there's a lot to be said for that. But I think the standard is we're not near. We haven't hit the. We've set the bar high, and we're not quite there yet. We got to continue to work in that direction. I don't know when we're gonna be there. We're still building. We're still growing. You know, I mean, we still got a lot of room to work, a lot of room to get better. Continue to work on coming out every day and practicing and getting better. And that's a challenge in itself every week for us. So.
Because of where you are in the conference and the fact that possibilities are still out there for you, I know that it's business as usual every day, practice, everything, but has the mentality changed a little bit? Has the excitement level ratcheted up that much more?
You would think it would have. You know, I think our guys are excited about playing. I think the conference is a big part of it. I'll be honest with you. Because of the way last year finished, I think that may have more to do with anything. And I think our kids remember that. I know I do. It wasn't a good feeling. So I think that's part of it. The conference is part of it. Yesterday's practice was okay. Wasn't as good as it needs to be for us to do what we need to do. Monday's had a lot of energy. Monday had a lot of energy. Tuesday, not quite as much. So we got to come out today, and you know, we're at the end of the year. There's a lot going on. There's a grind. There's schoolwork. Finals are. I mean, it's, you know, so we got to dig down a little bit in the year and have a good week of practice so we can get ready to go on Saturday. But I think our guys completely understand what's going on. I don't think there's any. I mean, they know, and I explained it all to them anyways. But they know, they understand where we are, what we can do, what, you know, everything that's out there. So we just got to go do it. We got to practice and go do it, and that's the bottom line.